Hello again. This is Jen with Jenny Demonic. How's it going? So I have quite a few surprises for you. Um, I feel very creative this year for some reason. Okay, so first things first, I have decided that I'm going to start teaching you a little bit more about demonology, but I have to make sure that I do that in a safe way. That's also something that concerned me because I did have quite a few of you that wanted to learn more, particularly of the ones that we use. And the concern is that you're not, you do something else in life. You come to us for these type of things. You're not a professional caster, so you don't quite know how to protect yourself. I can give you some tips and tricks, sorry. I will also post under Gen Only, under the consult, some consultations for you to come see me to clarify how to summon safely. I'll also do that because I mean, ethically, I have to do that. Whether you want to follow up and book that or not, I don't care, but it's gonna be there just in case you need me. Okay? So I know that I said that I was going to talk about Belial, but then I realized like ugh, the whole world talks about Belial. Belial is like it's the rock star of the Goetia demons. I mean that Belial. What's the other one? Zafar, which I use a lot, or C3 is the other one. So maybe we want to talk about those, but we can talk about those a little later because there's one that we use quite a bit, and I'll also include the spells that we that uses this entity, and it's Sallos, okay? And quite a few clients actually with us have found benefit um, by using Sallos in the spells, particularly for love and lust, okay? So we're gonna talk about Sallos. Before getting into Sallos, again, a couple of reminders, okay? The sale will end on the 14th, and I will not be able to extend it because the casters that we work with will not allow me to do that, okay? Just heads up. And I will probably look under after the 14th, look under the tab Gen Only. I'll probably add some more spells that you can be cast non-coven. Obviously, I have to coordinate with the other casters about it, but that'll be on my end. So it'll be non-coven. There'll be more spells that are non-coven that you can purchase directly with me, and they do not involve the coven. But just so you know, sometimes you might need to involve the coven, but that kind of gives you a break if like finances wise. Now, I think the reports are still going out. I wanna clarify that when you receive a report, it's because I write it off. So in other words, I have to wait most of the time for other people to send me what they have about the report so that I can say, oh, okay, so this is how it really is going. There was a time that I wasn't doing that, and then the casters would send the report directly to you. We did have a time that things were working that way. But then something went wrong to where it was only half of the story because I wasn't checking it. So I decided to kind of centralize everything. That's why it's taking a little bit of time. But it's for your own good because I do go over what they're saying and whether it makes sense. I do my own work to check that it makes sense, and so that's quality control. Let's just put it that way. So we're talking about Sallos today. So this is going to be probably the first. I believe I did a video. I'm not sure it was on Belial. I think it was on C3 a while back. So I want to talk about Sallos. I want to talk about Sallos because Sallos is probably I wouldn't say the most harmless one, but it is generally an entity that you can work with. Let's just put it that way. I want to remind everyone, and I do specify that in my videos. If you look at videos of previous years, you will see that when you are summoning an entity, and I like to start with that, you should you should be reminded that this entity is indifferent to human life. Okay? In other words, they don't think and feel the way the humans do because they're not humans. So when you're putting out a request to these entities, they can accept it because maybe they love you in the moment. And we've had, like with the Goblin of Obsession, we have some people that they when we summoned they took on the cause of that particular client and they love that particular client. You should look at the Goblin of Obsession because it's one spell where we actually do summon a lot. But I'll put it right here below. So that they can love your cause, they can embrace your cause. So that's one outcome. The other outcome is that they can you can literally feel like they really don't care about your cause, and that happens too. Remember, we don't control the outcome. You're paying us to cast, and we do faithfully. And so the entity can say, yeah, I don't care about this. Or they can simply be indifferent one way or another. So yeah, I'll consider your request on my own time. So that's why sometimes it's better to repeat and says, to remind. It says, we're offering this again. For the most part, we've been pretty successful in the past with the entities that we have summoned. Okay? Now, why Sallos is the safest? Because among the Goetia entities, he is typically the most pacifist. He is the one that doesn't have an inner a warrior spirit in and of itself. He is a duke. He is one of the dukes of hell and rules over a number of demons, or legion of demons, actually over 30 legion of demons. But even so, even though he has a warrior aspect to him, he is considered a pacifist. And he is one of those where you would say make love not war type of guy. And because you go to Sallos primarily for love, for attraction, for lust, for influencing relationships. So if you haven't tried Sallos with us yet, maybe before trying summoning Sallos on your own, you could probably try summoning Sallos with us. It's probably safer for you. Let's look at what Sallos does. What the job of Sallos does in literature, and it's widely accepted among many of us. Okay, so if you look at any material that you see online about Sallos, you'll see that we pretty much all agree that you can summon Sallos to cause love, So if a person is not loving you, you can try to summon Sallos for that person to love you. We do have a little bit of Sallos in the LP666, just so you know. But it causes a person to fall in love with you. It raises the mutual attraction. So if you're attracted to someone and that person is kind of lukewarm to you, that is a good time to ask Sallos, right? One little thing though, Sallos, and I apologize deeply. Sallos is not a Duke of our times. And so Sallos is not a good entity to summon when your target is part of the LGBTQ community. So if you are looking for same-sex attraction or same-sex love, Sallos is not your entity. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to give other options in other videos of entities that might be more we're going to cover a lot. We're going to cover over the next month, we're going to cover Santa Muerte. We're going to cover, Belial, maybe even, or we're going to cover other entities. We're going to cover Lilith. And among the entities that we're going to cover, we're also going to cover some that are more LGBTQ friendly than Sallos will ever be. So Sallos isn't for you. Sorry, I apologize. He is an entity that provokes heterosexual love and raises mutual attraction. And he's also an entity known to stimulate sexual desire and incite passions into someone. And that's why we have a spell for that. You should look into that. And if the person that you're dealing with has kind of moved away from you emotionally or sexually, it can also rekindle the flame with that person. Mind you, in our own practice, we do use Sallos quite a bit. I'm going to put some spells below that we have that actually use Sallos. That probably might be the safer route, because I'm also going to explain why it's not safe for you to summon an entity in your own home. But I'm not you. It also has I would say it has a quality of faithfulness and loyalty. So it's what in hoodoo we call stay at home. Like, there's some hoodoo practitioners that have stay faithful to me type of thing. And the entity version of the stay at home is Sallos. Sallos promotes faithfulness in a couple. So that's a great entity to summon if you want someone to stay loyal to you. So now every entity that I'm going to talk to you about has an N, ENN. That's the formula. That's the chant. That's what you repeat at least 90 times over and over and over for that entity to come to you. And sometimes more than 90 times. So here is where some of the casters among us diverge in opinion. We disagree, or we don't necessarily disagree. We have different ways to do this. But some people think that you should chant the N about 95 times, 195 times, or about 200 times. Some others think you should chant the N for 2 consecutive minutes, 3 consecutive minutes. It really depends on your power. I chant the N for a minute. I feel the presence. I stop when I feel the presence. But I've been doing this for, 20 years now. 10 years on my own and 10 years on Coven. Pretty much. So you get the deal. If you're watching this video and you go like, oh, I've never done this. I want to try this. You probably should talk to me before you do this. I'm thinking, because my job is always to give information honestly and safely on a vlog format. I think though, if you've never been exposed to any summoning before, you should probably summon for like 4 or 5 minutes, chant the end for 5 minutes until you kind of start feeling a little different, and like you kind of feel some sort of like you're not alone in the room anymore, or you kind of feel like there is a presence, or there is a body a body of energy literally coming around. So the presence is felt even by beginners. One thing that I recommend you, and we're gonna go through this, is that you create a circle around you. Get an extension cord. Once you already put all the material inside, close a circle with this extension cord and do not exit the extension cord for any reason whatsoever. Not even if Amazon is at the door. Not even if somebody is ringing the bell. Not even if you accidentally left your phone outside on that dresser, on top of that dresser, and it's your bestie messaging you, texting you because he or she wants to go to lunch with you. No, you do not exit the circle until you say you are dismissed, you are ready to close the ritual, and you unhook the extension cord around you. You do not exit while you are summoning. Never. That's a big mistake. Okay? When you are starting to invoke the presence of Sallos, you're going to chant, and I'm going to put the N below, Serena, Alora, Saleos, Aken. Or if you want to do it in Latin, Serena, Alora, Saleos, Aken. It's very similar to Spanish. So let's talk about the actual practicality of summoning. I already told you that you need to have an extension cord. I already told you that you need to have a circle around you, that you do not break that circle for any reason whatsoever. You're gonna need to clean the space inside the circle. Make sure it is literally clean like with normal cleaning products. You're gonna have to make sure that you're not disturbed during that time. You have to download the seal. Just Google Sallos seal. It's very easy, or you can write it. I just draw my own seals, and I have videos about that too, so go through my videos. Now, Sallos prefers metal, so you should have a metal cup, preferably copper. You should have a glass of wine, preferably red wine, as an offering. So have your metal dish, you have your glass of wine. You should also have a little bit of salt, iodized salt, the salt that you buy at the store. Inside the circle that you do with the extension cord, you should sprinkle a little bit of salt on the inside, forming a second circle of salt. And then you are there, you are in this focus, meditative state, and then you chant the N until you, in front of the seal, until you visualize the seal in your mind. You don't need to look at the seal anymore. And you kind of feel the presence. And you speak to him just as you're speaking to me. We do have intentions, and sometimes when we return the word to you, you see that there's We have a new way to do things right now where you have the pictures of the targets and you have the intention under it, so and so date of birth, so and so date of birth. You should also chant that several times, and that we give that intention, we return that intention back to you when we hand you over the pictures of the spell when you do it with us. So you kind of have an idea of how we do things. It's no secret because it is the traditional way of doing this, but you actually have the words underneath. Sometimes when we return the spell to you, the words are a little blurred, and that's for confidentiality purposes. But you can always ask for what was the intention that you used, Jen, for this, and I can send it to you for your specific case. So that is your request. Those words are your request to Sallos. And you chant that, you say that several times. Sometimes we say that 9 consecutive times. But then it all depends on the power of the practitioners. Consider we are multiple practitioners, so it's a different story when you do it with us, okay? And we have a space for that. We don't just do it in our own home. I never really advocate to do this kind of work in your own home. They do tend to linger if you don't close the space and clean up properly. For instance, you can use sandalwood because it is known it is known that Sallos prefers sandalwood. So you just once you get in there and you chant at the end several times until you feel the presence, and you chant 7 or 9 times your incantation. If it is a last desire, you should probably have a red candle for protection purposes, and also for him. Salos prefers to have a green candle. And so the way that you should do this is you should have a white candle for you to protect yourself next to a cup of clean water. You know how I use water a lot. You just keep a glass of clean water next to a white candle, and you inscribe your name on the white candle from the bottom up. That is your protection element. Then on the left side, you should have a green candle for Sallos, probably placed onto his sigil. That's what we do over there. And so you draw a sigil, you put the candle, the green candle on top. Now, for the green candle that we use for Sallos, you should use like the big ones, like the wide ones. Once you're done your summoning, you can discard. It's really the important thing is the energy, not what's left after. For if you're doing this for last or desire, you should still have a red candle with your name and your target's name inscribed in the candle from bottom to the top. I refer you to any of the obsession spells with red candles that you can find in my videos. I have many. So the technique of actually bringing lust and desire onto a target through candle magic doesn't change. What changes is that you're adding the Salor summoning. So you can go back to watching any of my videos where I teach you how to use a candle to make someone to have someone make contact with you. I gave you so many different techniques over these years. So just put that candle with the names and the sugar and the stuff that I do in other videos, you put it in the middle. That's your candle. In this part of the work, you're becoming a little bit more like us. You're adding Sallos to it. Does every practitioner in the world add Sallos? No. They just do the candle thing. If you buy something from Etsy, provided that they truly do something, that's a different story there. What they will do candle magic. Some of them will do just law of attraction. Some of them will only do Reiki, because if you're buying something for $5, I doubt that they can really do much with it. Okay? But some of them will add Sallos, citrate, Dantalian, Aster, whatever, So I am teaching you how to add Sallos. Another way to look at this, right? Before we talk about the dismissal of the entity and the closing of the ritual. Another way to look at this is, think of it this way. You want to get a target to have lust and desire for you, okay? So you get a red candle with the name, your date of birth, the target's name, the target's date of birth. They're all going to be inscribed on the candle using a pin or a needle. Again, I refer you to previous videos. And then you're going to dress that with come to me oil, in tranquil oil, lavender oil if you are in places where these oils are not found, love oil. There's many options there. I would also advise you to roll that candle onto powdered sugar or cinnamon, right? You write the names of you and the targets at the bottom. Again, that's stuff that I teach in another video. That's hoodoo, okay? And then you have it ready, okay? Now you can only do that and just do an incantation like the Anubi or any other stuff that I teach you in other videos. And that would just be effective on its own, because that's hoodoo. Now, in this particular video, on top of that candle that you will have prepared, you will add a white candle for yourself for protection, along with a glass of water, and a red candle with the sigil of Dantalion at the bottom, okay? And a glass of red wine and a metal cup, preferably of copper, and a incense burning sandalwood. That's what you're adding. You're also adding an extension cord around you, or circle, and you're adding drops of white salt, iodized salt around you. Okay? Then you are ready with the candle, all three candles, right? So this is intermediate spell casting using entity. Gosh, that should be the title, huh? Anyhow, intermediate spell casting using entity summoning. There you go. So then you are ready for you start chanting the M. You light up the green candle for Dantalion. You light up your white candle for yourself. You chant the M, okay? I'm sorry, for Dantalion, for Sallos. What am I saying? You chant the end for Sallos. I'm gonna put that below. Chant the end as many times as you need to get into your meditative state. Then that's when you, once you feel the presence, that's when you light the red candle and you go with the petition, the words, or the incantation, or whatever your request is for that particular person that's going to sit in the middle of the three. You get the deal? So now you are just watching the three candles, right? And go down, but your concern is that the red candle finishes in front of you. The other two you can just snuffle. The red candle is done. You thank Sallos for being there, palms up. Thank you for your presence. You are dismissed. You may go. You need to dismiss the entity. You need to tell them to leave, okay? More than one time. Then you can just go about cleaning. Unhook the circle, clean up the salt, dispose all the candles, and then go back to your life. I would do an egg cleansing after that. I have a video about that. So that's a little bit more convoluted, isn't it? But some people have tried this. I used to have a teaching session with my clients, one-on-one. That was years ago, but again, it goes back to the fact that you guys have grown exponentially, and it's really hard to make time to do the Zoom sessions and everything else, because our priority is actually casting for you, because that's what you're paying us for. But I used to have a one-on-one session to teach you how to do this. I think if you still have questions, I'm gonna put a 40-minute session that you can use to come to me and have more like a clarification questions about your situation and why you want to summon Sallos. Sallos is overall safe to summon, but I'm still going to put the spells that we have in our on our site that use Sallos, okay? Just for your safety. Because at the end of the day, once you buy all the material, and you're gonna find out yourself, once you buy everything that you need for this, you're gonna find out that it's pretty much the same price minus the work, minus the actual casting fee. That's pretty much the same price that we spend, especially if you're in the United States. So I don't know how cost effective it'll be, but I'm always willing to share material that you guys are curious about. There's also another thing that this is, and this is why I don't recommend. This is why I don't recommend particularly about summoning on your own, because some of not Salos particularly, although he is part of the Goetia, but typically you need to kind of have knowledge of the lesser key of Solomon, which is something that some of us use. I don't particularly use it, but Aaron uses it all the time. We also have a spell for that. It's called the Aken keys. I would say that is also the fact that the reason why we don't recommend particularly the summoning of Sallos on your own or any of these entities is because there's this is not really beginner stuff, but it is for your knowledge, for what Sallos does. So when you actually buy a spell with us, you know what Sallos does, how a Sallos operates. It is probably the easiest one of the easiest to work with. It is a pacifist. It's not really an extremely dangerous entity, and probably the easiest to summon. There are some of others that I will not talk about because they're really like beyond advanced. But there are some things that you have to keep in mind. The fact that he is a pacifist does not mean that he is harmless when summoned in your own home. You need to always make sure, again, that you stay in the circle, that you maintain control at all times, that you are precise and intentional with all the steps that I told you, that you are very, very specific about your request, that there isn't anything beyond the words that you have written down, so everything has to be carefully planned when you're summoning an entity. So this is essentially and I have to say this vlog is for entertainment only, for entertainment news only, and that is for your knowledge. Who Sallos is, what Sallos does, what practitioners use Sallos for, what it is known to do, and do I recommend that you do it on your own? No, but I know that some of you were very curious about these entities, so I thought, why don't we make a series about that? But I will continue teaching you about other little tricks, tips and tricks that are probably safer. They are law of attraction. They attract love and wealth, and they change your self-concept. And I think it's safer and also effective. This is just one of the many options, believe it or not. Some people think that this is the go-to. It's not necessarily a go-to. It's a go-to if you know how to do it. And so we'll leave it as that. But I'm happy to teach you about it. Again, sale is ending on the 14th, 2 days from now. I will not be able to do anything about it, but there will be an enhancement of the Gen Only tab. I'll see. I'll see about that. I'm always here to help you. And if you have any questions about this video, feel free to reach out to me. If you are a new person watching this, well, first of all, welcome to the Jenny Demonic family. Please don't contact us saying, how much do you charge for this spell? All our prices, all is on our website. All you need to do is go through it. Everything is by law stated as it should be. Also, please do not send us X-rated emails. Keep it clean. We do not need to know your desires, the details of your sensual desires in a very graphic way. We are a business, a legitimate business. We abide by the laws of United States, and we do not we do not respond to adult content or X-rated material. I know it's interesting that I have to say that, but anyhow, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope this video helps you, and I'll probably think of another video that I can make for you in the coming week. I promised you that I'll be making more videos, so that is it. And probably we'll make a hoodoo video with candles and something that is more intermediate in there and as well. And this is Jen with Jenny Demonic. Bye.